Persona 5 is the game.
You'll never see it coming.
And I must warn you, that is very, very long. I gotta say, this was my first time diving into a Persona game. It's always caught my eye because, let's be real, if there's one thing this series knows how to do, it's grab your attention with that music, those colors, and its carefree vibe. From the outside, it looks like one of those super cheerful, shallow games where the characters dance through the opening sequence and the power of friendship solves all problems. I mean, anime. And yeah, the power of friendship really does conquer all. And yes, it's too much anime. 3 months without showering. But actually, considering I don't play many anime-style games, and I just love this game, you should be thinking, holy, maybe it is a damn good game after all. But if you're planning on giving this game a shot, you've got to know, this game is overwhelming. Just by telling you that the tutorial is 50 hours long. And when people have asked me, so what's Persona 5 about? I've tried explaining it without making this video an eternity long and with minimal spoilers, because I'd rather you discover the story yourself. You start the game, and the first thing they teach you is combat. It's a classic turn-based combat system, like we've seen in other JRPGs like Pokemon, Final Fantasy, or even Hateful Boyfriend. You've got attack, defense, items, but then you've got this creatures behind you that basically has powers, kind of like in Blue Dragon, and those powers are their magic. Depending on the creature you've got, you can do different types of magic. These things behind you are called personas, and they represent the true self of whoever wields them. Cool, right? But just when you think you've got the hang of it, hold up, let's add a bit more spice. Let's throw in guns. Yup, guns. These are ranged attacks, but your bullets are limited per fight. Alright, that's still manageable, but wait for it. Enemies have weaknesses, too. Weaknesses are the key to battles. Figuring out enemies' weakness. If you hit them in their weakness, you get an extra turn. That means you can chain attacks until you win the fight. But wait, there's more. If you make all the enemies in a fight weak, you pull off a combo attack, which is like a mega move. But hold up, buddy. It turns out these little creatures behind you are like Pokemons. You can catch them all if you want, and each one has different powers. To catch them, instead of throwing a red ball, you talk to them Undertale style, and you got to approach them depending on their personality type. If they're millennial, you just say something like, life sucks, and boom, they join you. But there is more. You can fuse them together to make even more powerful creatures. To start fights, you just walk up to the monsters and give them a good old smack. But if you sneak up from behind, even better, you get the upper hand in battle. Oh, and we also give you a grappling hook so you can grab them from a distance. And why not turn the cat into a freaking car, so you don't get bored running around the map? And if you build stronger relationships with your teammates, you'll unlock special combos. And check this out, there's an enemy that looks like a dick. Then in the game, you've got a series of missions tied to the main story that you need to complete by a certain deadline. You get a set number of days to finish them, and you can manage those days however you like, but if you don't get it done in time, game over. For example, you've got 15 days to finish the first mission, and if you don't, you get kicked out of school and become a NEET for the rest of your life. But in those 15 days, you can do whatever you want. So what can you do? Well, hang on, because I'm going to spend the next 30 hours of gameplay explaining everything you can do in those 15 days. What can you do? Well, aside from exploring the world, diving into the lore, and realizing how overrated Japan is, there's also a relationship and romance system. You can improve your friendships with other characters and develop their storylines. You can train with them, grab coffee, or listen to how hard their life is. Because she is a stunningly beautiful girl, and obviously, you wouldn't understand the struggles of a completely normal girl trying to make it as a model. Poor thing, I wouldn't want to be in her shoes. Improving these relationships will unlock different combat perks. You can also work, just like in Digimon World, you work to earn money so you can buy yourself some really cool stuff. Though, let's be honest, what's probably going to happen is you'll get hit with that classic RPG syndrome and start hoarding cash like an idiot. You know, just in case hard times are coming. You can also try to level up your skills, but not your combat skills. Oh no, your social skills, which is a whole different thing that'll unlock certain stuff for you later on. You can watch movies, brew coffee, read, clean, make lockpicks, play video games, or do things you never do in real life, like study. You can do everything except, well, jerk off. Yep, you're the only teenager who is no into it. Makes sense though, considering you've got a talking cat that judges everything you do and never gives you a moment of privacy. And by the way, for some reason, playing video games in this world can make you more attractive, which is not the case in real life. But this whole do whatever you want idea is just theoretical, because in practice, the damn talking cat keeps telling you how you feel all the time. Maybe you've got some free time and you think, great, I'll make some lockpicks. Nope. The stupid cat says you need to rest, because tomorrow's an important day. Like, come on man, just let me make some lockpicks, you son of a bitch. And yeah, if the cat tells you to go to bed at 5 in the afternoon just because he feels like it, you gotta hit the sack. Let me tell you, the only reason he's still got his balls is because the game won't let me get him neutered. If I could, I'd snip them off in a heartbeat. You could be 80 hours in and think, alright, I must know all the game mechanics by now. Nope. Now you've got the option to breakdance under the moon, and that's going to unlock a special move for you. This is maybe the game's biggest problem. On one hand, they stretch out the tutorial so much that you could be in the final boss fight, and they're still explaining new mechanics to you. The character we play as is the classic handsome Japanese game protagonist who's mute, yet somehow everyone is totally obsessed with him. And when you ask people what the hell they see in him to be all over him, they say, "Oh, he's just amazing. He's such a good listener. Yeah, no shit, he doesn't talk." Alright, I'll admit, if there's one thing Persona 5 is overflowing with, it's charisma and personality. The colors, holy crap, how many bright colors. I'm getting a sugar rush just looking at it. And the animations? The damn animations are incredible. I mean, even the menus are mind-blowing. Every single section of the menu has its own unique animations and looks stunning. It's seriously the most beautiful menu I've ever seen in my life. Those bright colors are such a contrast to the dull gray tones we're used to seeing in more serious games. And like I said before, don't be fooled by the flashy style, because behind that superficial layer is a game with a sharp critique of Japanese society, media manipulation, and how people idolize celebrities. It's a window into a side of Japan that's more hidden. Things like sexual abuse, suicide, and corruption. The cast of protagonists, while they do lean on a few anime cliches, are actually pretty interesting overall, and most importantly, they evolve. And it's ridiculous that I even have to point this out, but sadly, well-developed characters aren't exactly common in the gaming world. We've got the silent protagonist, who's the flattest character, but also the main thread of the story, and for whom all the girls are interested in. Then there's your typical hot-headed anime guy who yells all the time. The beautiful girl, who's going to end up with serious back problems. The eccentric artist, the damn cat. The rich girl, the ultimate crush. The shut-in, who's turned into a super hacker. And the girl whose life goal is to become a gymnast. But that's just the surface level. Once we start digging into each of them, without spoiling too much, we see stories of depression, fears, traumas, blackmail, abuse, the pressure of expectations, and people who still haven't found their place in the world. It's up to us if we want to dig deeper into the lives of these protagonists and other characters we meet throughout the adventure. We can also romance some of them, though we can only romance the girls. Kind of a bummer. But hey, at least you can hook up with your teacher and live out the fantasy of a million teenage boys. I dare say Persona 5 has been not only the best game, but one of the best pieces of media ever to tackle the development of teenage characters. And I'm so sick of anime kids not acting like kids. Kids whose father dies, and instead of getting traumatized like a normal person, they go on a revenge spree and kill everything in sight. They have even managed to replicate those unbearable group chats full of nonsense quite well. Although there are some things that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Like, for example, one of the girls gets caught up in a sexual abuse situation through a power dynamic, and then in the very next mission, they use her as sexual bait to catch another bad guy. You know, anime. In Persona 5, the bad guys are bad. Really, really bad. No gray areas. The villains are all total assholes. No exceptions. Like starting off meeting a fishmonger who doesn't give you your change back, but you dig a little deeper, and it turns out he eats kids, played Concord, and invaded Poland. Getting back to the fights, Persona 5 is the perfect example of how turn-based combat can still be awesome. The battles are so dynamic, I'm surprised at how freaking well-designed they are. Every action is mapped to a button, and you get to a point where you master it, and you enter this kind of flow state, where you're in sync with the game, and you're practically dancing through the menus to the beat of the music. Seriously, if turn-based combat was a turn-off for you, forget about it, because this is so well-crafted it has a faster pace than many button-mashing games. They're also designed in a way that you can't just defeat enemies by attacking. Getting hit here really penalizes you, and the game constantly encourages you to try and finish the fight as quickly as possible by finding the enemy's weakness and chaining combos together. But where the game really shines, or rather where it completely hooks you, is in its day-to-day and time management. The game forces you to explore Japan, to delve deep into the city and discover all the possibilities. And it'll hook you so much that you'll want to try and make the most of every day and not waste a single damn day. And the soundtrack, I have to mention this soundtrack because it's got an insane vibe. I didn't know I was such a fan of this jazz and funk mix until I played Persona 5. It's got something that makes you uncontrollably bob your head to the music nonstop. But look, Persona 5 isn't perfect. In fact, it's not even close. No, it's the complete opposite. It has a lot of repetitive mechanics. In fact, to be honest, the whole game is built on a foundation of 3 mechanics that we're going to repeat throughout the entire title. It has a lot of pointless and unnecessary conversations. They explain things to you 200 times, storylines that lead nowhere, but the game hooks you. Persona 5 sucks you in, because even with all those negative aspects, what it does very, very well. The characters and the story make you want to keep going, and when it ends, it leaves you with a huge void. That length means that you inevitably form a relationship with those characters, with some more than others, and when you have to let them go, it leaves you, well, empty. Persona 5 isn't a game for everyone, and you have to go in knowing that it's a very absorbing game, and that it's going to require a pretty long commitment from you. But I have to say that it's the best JRPG I've played in recent years, and that even people who normally aren't attracted to JRPGs I think some of you might actually like it. It's one of those JRPGs where there are barely any cutscenes that cut the pace of the game every few minutes. Has an engaging story, and that doesn't make you want to chop off all the characters' heads every few minutes. It's funny because with this game, it happened to me that I was eager to finish it, but once it was over, I wished it had never ended.
You can